Hello again. What if there were a way to know if all the financial decisions you're making are correct? What if there was a way to test, measure, and verify all your financial decisions before you committed the dollars? Wouldn't that be an advantage, wouldn't it? My name is Larry Bassell with KOHR Financial and Insurance Services. We've been providing insurance and financial strategies to customers and clients in California for over 20 years with tremendous results. I'd like to show you some of the ways that we can overcome some of the financial problems that people face. We've already discussed these ad nauseum in the first two videos, but what I will give you today is a proven system for money management, personal financial management, that will enable you to overcome these obstacles and get you on the right track to financial success. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the channel. You're going to be getting new videos each and every week. All right, here we go. The solution to the personal financial problems that people face starts with a structural model. That's right, a model, a planning model. It uses principles, laws, and strategies to align and position elements in a more scientific manner, eliminating what we call previously the financial junk drawer. By having a model, you benefit from being organized. You're making decisions based on rules that are out there in the financial world. You're optimizing your financial position. You're going to be more efficient. You're going to be able to measure your results, and everything will be coordinated. So the structural model is the key to first part of solving these financial problems. Let's look at the model in more detail. I'm going to flip through here. What does the LEAP model look like? There are three parts of it, starting with protection. These are where your insurance items sit, things such as your vehicle insurance, your umbrella policies, your medical, your disability policies, your wills and trusts, and your life insurance. So protection is the top part of the model. That's the area we cover first. In other words, good defense wins championships. So in order to win the financial game of life, you need good defense, and the model, your plan, has to work under all conditions. That's why we address it first. Then we get into the middle component, which is your savings area, things such as cash reserves, emergency fund, things like that. We want to make sure you have that. And then we get into the retirement plans such as annuities, Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, and most popular 401k plans. Finally, in the growth component, that's the investment world, stocks and bonds, real estate, collectibles, tax shelters, that's where these items sit. But it is an organized model. Let's get into it a little further. It's three main components with 9 elements in each one, further broken down as follows. They're positioned in levels of 3. Each level contains unique benefits, and elements are read from left to right, top to bottom. It's almost like a periodic table of the elements in chemistry. You remember that. In the protection component, our job is to provide full replacement value and guard against unforeseen risk, which can dramatically erode your wealth. So we talk about assets such as items such as car insurance to protect assets, like umbrella policies to do the same. Disability not only protects assets, but also provides income in case you're disabled. And life insurance, in the third component, provides for beneficiaries. So as you move down in the component, you're picking up more benefits. So in other words, anything in the first row is not going to be as powerful as the items in the third row. As we get into savings, notice that this is for accumulation of money needed for the short term or the long term. But it's something like a savings account that just provides safety. When you get into money market accounts, you pick up a little more yield and safety. And then your most powerful savings elements are your retirement plans, which are your 401ks, because they have tax advantages on top of the other two. So the model, again, was designed scientifically, well thought out, and you can learn about a lot of these elements and how they work just based on where they're positioned in the model. So you do get a financial education working with the system. In the growth component, Bonds just provide income. Stocks and mutual funds provide income in many cases, and growth as well, appreciation. And your real estate has tax advantages. That's why it's in the third row. It's the most powerful, one of the most powerful assets in the growth component. We mix that in addition to the three main components, protection, savings, and growth. We mix in cash flow, which is your monthly budget, very important to maintain a positive cash flow. And we also mix in your debt management, which we try to reduce over time. So these 5 areas comprise the model, and they're all important and they all work together. How we use the model is to, number 1, do an internal design review. In other words, if I want to study your car insurance up here, I'm looking at the details. I'm getting into the weeds, looking at your deductibles, your uninsured motorist coverage, things like that. If it's life insurance, I want to know what kind of policies you have. Do you have term? Do you have universal, whole life, index life, what have you? If I'm looking at your 401k, I want to see what's inside of it. What kind of investments are you working with? If I'm looking at your stocks, what kind of portfolio do you have there? So we're really digging in and getting into the nitty-gritty of what you own. And you're going to learn a lot about what you own just by going through the internal design review. So that's the first thing we do once we have your data on the model. After that, we want to make sure everything's coordinated. Can we achieve efficiencies in the model? In other words, if I have a lot of money sitting in savings in my emergency fund, a lot of cash on hand, can I afford to raise my deductible? Yes. So by doing so, if I raise my deductible from, say, $250 to $1,000, that's going to save me premium, and I can take that premium savings and put it somewhere else on the model. So we want to make sure things are coordinated. Finally, are there money strategies we can employ? Can I do what we call the velocity of money multiplier? Can I take interest off of an investment perhaps, move it to an intermediate stop in the wealth coordination account, which you'll learn about later, take that interest, those earnings, and move it into an insurance item if that's something I want to do. Or I can move the interest into a Roth IRA if that's something I want to do. But by moving the money into another vehicle, I'm picking up a second asset from the first asset. I'm not having to pay for that asset with any new money. This is money coming out of the original asset. And by doing so, I usually pick up more money supply and more benefits. So the money strategy design portion of the process can really accelerate your wealth building potential. So those are the 3 ways we use the model: internal design review, coordination review, and money strategy design review. Very, very effective. So the LEAP model is what you need. It's the antidote to the junk drawer. The model is simple, it's organized, and it's very powerful. Now, I want to talk about another very important part of our process, and that is the strategic positioning of money, and how we use the model in a little more detail in talking about what we call the rule book. The rule book. Very important that we said this was a rules-based process. Let's talk a little bit about the rule book. There are 9 rules. I'm not going to go through them all today. You'll see them in a subsequent video. But the rule book, let's talk about the first few. In rule number 1, we want full replacement protection in the protection component. In other words, if I die, I want full replacement of my human economic life value. I don't want to settle for anything less than that. If I become disabled, I want as much disability income as possible. If I'm in a car accident, I want full replacement of my vehicle. So that's the philosophy we have, is full replacement protection of your assets, of your income, and of your life. And I want to do it for the lowest cost possible. That's the first rule. Secondly, this has to do with savings. Very important. If you learn one thing from any of these videos, it's that you need to be saving 15% of your gross income. 15% of your gross income. Why? The reason is you have eroding factors, things that get in the way of your wealth building potential, things such as inflation, taxes, market fluctuations, fees, technology changes. All of these erode your wealth, say by 3% each. There's your 15 right there. So you need to save 15 just to be even with the eroding factors. So saving 15%, if somebody told me that's all I needed to do to be successful, I would be on a private island somewhere near Tahiti. So you really want to get this principle ingrained right away. 15% of your income, we set it aside. Rule number 3 is to build liquidity. So this is about the sequence of doing things. What order do I do things using the model? Rule number 3 is to build liquidity. 6 months of income should be sitting in cash as your cash reserve. Emergency fund, it'll eliminate credit cards, minimize loan interest and principal payments. And liquidity is very powerful. You may see an opportunity out there where you need cash, you'll have it. So building liquidity. So we started with protection. We then went to 15% of income being saved, gross income. And then building liquidity is our third rule. A fourth rule, which is where I'll stop. We want to avoid what's called compound interest. In these savings accounts, your interest is compounding, growing like a snowball inside that account. And that only serves to increase your taxes every year. And so if it's compound interest, you have a compound tax. And we don't want you to have a compound tax. So we will talk about how to avoid the compound tax by doing something with that interest. If you like what you saw in this video, scroll down to the bottom where you will see a link to my Masterclass. You're going to see some great tips on personal finance, and if followed, will make you a financial success. Thank you for your participation. Larry Bassell.